Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Requesting my team to just confirm once. Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So welcome everyone. Okay, sir. Hi, sir. So yeah, welcome to another session, guys. This is the 10th session of IBC CEP Module 2. First of all, congratulations. I was discussing with Deepak, and Deepak Chaudhary said that we did four sessions last week and one workshop, which is incredible. So kudos to all of you. Kudos to you, Deepak. Kudos to you, Salva sir. That was quite a feat because 4 sessions of such in-depth conversations and discussions, and also a workshop is not a small feat when we are dwelling into uh, such a technical subject, which is blockchain. So today, to all the students who couldn't join us on the workshop on Unique, we will have a quick overview about the same during the end of the session. So hang on tight. It's a very relevant thing that we need to discuss, extremely important. So make sure that you stick around until the end of the session. We will address it. We will give you an overview of how to do it. There's a limited number of people who will be able to come, who will be allowed to, who will be eligible for the tokens after they complete the challenge. But that shouldn't hold you back, because once you complete the challenge, it will prep you, even if you don't get the tokens, but it will prep you for the next challenge in Unique itself. So we'll talk in a little bit more detail in the end. But before that, obviously, we have Selva sir here, who will be talking to you about Inc. And he will be dwelling you into it and explaining it to you, and also a few things about your system setup and other such topics will be covered as well. Make sure you ask your questions while these topics are covered, and especially when some system configuration explanation is being given by Selva sir. Uh, yeah, so Selva sir, can we begin the session now?
Sure. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, by the way, I would like to know how many of you are using Windows laptop. Can you just raise your hand, please? I see only 5 hands. Rest all of you, are you using Windows laptop or Linux? So, those of you who are using Windows laptop, please. Guys, I need that number so that I can think of helping you out with setup of the development environment as well. Because without that proper setup, you cannot take even a single step further. I see 7 of you. What about the others? Guys, let me repeat that question. Please raise your hands if you are using Windows machine for development. If you're using Windows laptop or Windows desktop, please raise your hand. Out of 29, I see 9 hands. I was thinking probably most of you would be using a Windows or Windows-based laptop or a desktop for setting up the development environment. 10 of 30, 31. Okay, anyway, so we will have one dedicated session to set your development environment Okay, right. There's one anonymous. Can I use Fedora instead of Windows? Sir? Yes, you can. You definitely can. Okay, there's nothing wrong in it. Definitely you can use that. Okay. If you are using a Windows laptop, then in that case, we will have, because for Linux and for Mac OS, the setup, development environment setup is pretty straightforward. You don't have to worry about that at all. Because you see, the development environment setup will not work with Windows. I have tried it all in every possible manner and have failed miserably because there's always issue of compatibility. Okay. Primarily, it comes from, as long as you're doing only REST programming, that's fine. But if you just go into substrate, then, things will not work. Okay. Because many of the libraries are incompatible and they don't run on Windows. Okay. All sorts of issues are there. Because these tool chains were primarily developed with Linux, Linux in mind. So they were designed like that. So therefore, it is imperative that you use Linux or Mac OS. Okay, even in Linux subsystem. So Abdul Ikram, so the answer is actually what I am doing is, initially I was using Linux in a virtual machine. However, I changed over to WSL, but there were issues with WSL. And then finally, over the past couple of days, what I've done is I've completely fixed every possible issue. So you don't need to install a virtual machine. You can simply use WSL to, host your Linux environment within the Windows itself. So if you're using Linux subsystem, fantastic. And I think I'm going to give you ideas as to how to configure that so that you can work comfortably. Okay. So I hope that answers your question, Abdul. Right? Okay. Now, as far as dev environment setup is concerned, if you have any other question, please. So those of you who have raised hands, they can put it down. So I got the approximate number that was interested in. So if you're using Windows machine, it would be easier if you use the WSL. However, the only issue with WSL is this is what it is. So if you run Ubuntu 22.04, this is what I get. Okay, this is what I basically get. That means I have a terminal. So your Visual Studio Code will not work. Okay, here and all those. So you don't have a GUI-based environment which you're used to. So I will show you exactly how you can set it up. In fact, I am using a GUI-based environment running on top of this. Okay, and I'm sorry, I didn't share my screen, so you can't see that. So I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Difference between ink and solidity, Bharat. Basically, ink is primarily designed for writing smart contracts on the substrate. Okay, for a Polkadot environment. Okay, Solidity can also be used to write smart contracts, but primarily Solidity was designed with Ethereum in mind. Okay, so ink is the new kid on the block, and I guess we are going to use ink only, and you will be expected to, in your work also use ink, right? And if you know Solidity, learning ink is pretty straightforward. Because, however, you need to know Rust, which you have learned through the previous sessions, so it should not be a big problem. Okay, right. So I hope that answers your question. Any other question, please? Because I'm very happy that you people are asking questions. That goes a long way in your learning process, believe me. Okay, whatever is the question. And Deepak, are we seeing any increased activity on the Discord?
Yeah, some little bit increased.
Okay, that's good to hear. So guys, please use Discord as the platform. You will get hell a lot of information out there. Okay, and we're all there. As I mentioned, this session ends at 9 p.m. right? And then of course you have this quiz and all, and we'll get over by something like 9:50, 9:20. But Discord is a platform where people are available 24/7. Okay, so even night 1 o'clock you're working, and then you end up with some error and you put a question. There's a possibility that someone might be watching, or at least early in the morning someone checks in. Okay, our team checks in, and you'll get the answer to your problem. Okay, so please, I encourage you to use Discord as much as is possible. Okay. Right. Okay. So we are going to teach you basics of Ink today, how you can write. So I'm going to take a code example. However, the important thing that I'm going to show you is how you deploy this onto the network. Okay, and then finally test it out. So okay, and work with the smart contract. Okay, so that's what we are going to see. Right. Any other questions, please? So let me show you. So here I have actually, within this, I have installed a GUI. Okay, you don't see it here in the WSL window. So I am running an XRDP, okay, which allows you to use GUI through the remote desktop connection. So as you can see here, all this is running on top of the Ubuntu distribution here. Okay, and this is the GUI environment to which I'm connecting through the remote desktop connection. Pretty cool, huh? In fact, to tell you the truth, it took me quite some time to get these things up and running. Okay, so I will have a complete, walkthrough of that also in the next session, wherein you will be able to do that. And today also I will give you some basic, basics, if time permits, as to how you can start working with, the dev environment setup. Because post tomorrow's session, your build sessions begin. That's module 3, and then there you need to have your development environment up and running. Okay. Now, one thing that I want to tell you is that I'm not going to build anything here. Build in a sense, I'm not going to do a cargo build of any of this, because these are so extensive that cargo build of a contract typically takes 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. Since if you're working on Mac OS or Linux as a base operating system, then it will not consume that much time. But if you're using WSL or a virtual machine, then obviously it's going to take more time. Okay, and if you want to build the entire substrate node template, it can take you sometime even 2 to 3 hours. Okay, depending upon the processor. Right. So and also the hard disk. Okay. So I have an SSD, so it runs pretty fast. Still, it takes about 2 hours to 3 hours sometimes. Of course, my laptop processor is pretty slow. It's a 3rd generation i7, but still I get pretty good performance. Okay, on this machine, right? Due to the hardware that I've got. Okay, and also I have sufficient amount of storage. My laptop runs on 32 gigs of RAM, so I have sufficient RAM also available. But still, because the processor is 3rd generation, so obviously there are restrictions. So you can't. So this is the GUI environment. See there? How cool is that? In fact, I'll show you in the full screen mode. This is the total GUI that I see. So this is the application finder, and this is the desktop. This is the XFCE desktop that you see here. Again, remember, this is the GUI environment, okay, which is running on top of the Ubuntu distribution running in the Windows subsystem for Linux, okay, WSL. And I'm using WSL version 2. Okay, you should be running WSL version 2. This has got much better optimizations so that things run fast. Okay, there you go. Okay, so I'm going to store it. Okay, so let's come back. So first off, okay, what is a smart contract? Okay, this is where, okay, you're understand. So blockchains typically, which is, I mean, you have already heard about this, but I want to reiterate the point. traditionally, when the first blockchain came in the form of Bitcoin, okay, it only had the capability to record transactions. Okay. Now, this is where, Vitalik Buterin thought that, okay, there is no flexibility of, coming up with some kind of a logic to carry out the transaction. That means Bitcoin natively does not support smart contracts. Okay, it doesn't. So you have to use, say other tools, okay, and other, third-party applications which simulate, okay, sort of smart contracts. But again, remember, inherently and natively, Bitcoin doesn't support. So that's where Ethereum came into play. So what is the fundamental difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin is that Ethereum Bitcoin uses blockchain. Ethereum also uses blockchain. The difference is that Ethereum uses a programmable blockchain. That means apart from recording transactions, you can also run code on top of it. Okay, which means you write some piece of program, okay, that governs the rules. Okay, how the transactions need to be performed. Okay, that means, see, for instance, think of it like this: I take a loan, then every month I have to pay the EMI, right? So in a traditional banking system, what do? You actually sign up for a EMI transfer every month, which is called as ECS, okay, mandate. So when you sign up for the ECS mandate, automatically at a particular date of the month, your EMI amount will be deducted from your bank account and be transferred to the financial institution's account. Okay. So there is a contractual agreement between me and the financial institution or the institution from where I've taken a loan, and the bank actually executes that contract, okay, which allows it to basically transfer amount every month on the, say, 5th of the month or 10th of the month, whatever is the date. Okay. Now, so that means there is a transaction that needs to happen at regular intervals at certain conditions. Because the condition is how long should the EMI should be transferred, as long as the principal amount doesn't become zero, or you have paid a certain number of EMIs, which means that somehow the bank needs to track, okay, so he has paid 5 EMIs are left out, so another 5 months it will take, and so on and so forth. Also, if I happen to foreclose it, the bank gets the information and then it will no longer, transfer the EMI. Okay, if the financial institution comes and tells the bank that, hey, you know what, so and so user has already paid the remaining amount and so on. So these are the rules which govern the transaction, which defines an EMI transfer of certain amount from my account to the financial institution's account. So how will you do that? So in a traditional system, we have, when you sign up for a loan, you have to sign some contracts, and based on that contract, the bank will become the authority to carry out those transactions on your behalf. Of course, yes, it doesn't do it for free. It actually charges money, right? So if you want to bring such a kind of, say, contractual agreement as to when the transaction should happen, how much should be the amount, what are the conditions under which the transaction should happen, all these things, if they can be converted to a set of rules and put up on the blockchain and let the blockchain, okay, do these automatic transfers or anything of that sort. This is just a simple hypothetical example. So what you need, so you have a piece of code, okay, but this piece of code allows the blockchain to carry out the transactions on behalf of you, right? So there is no bank involved. Okay, your account is there, the institution's account is there, and then the smart contract will do the transfers on your behalf. So that's how we don't call them as programs, we call them as contracts, because essentially the programs that you write turn out to be a set of business rules as to how the transaction must be carried out, when the transaction must be carried out, why the transaction must be carried out, why it should be stopped, and all those things. So you have a set of rules, and so that's why it's called as a smart contract, because it executes under the control of the so-called, now because it's a piece of code, somebody has to run it. So that's where the virtual machine comes in, which acts like the CPU on your machine. Okay. So Ethereum uses Solidity as a programming language. Now you might ask, can't we write, on the Ethereum, can I write smart contract using C++ or C? Yes, you can. You just need a library port that will convert that into the bytecode, and then you should be good to go. And there are libraries available, believe me. So you can actually write C++ smart contracts as well. You can do the same thing on Polkadot with Substrate as well. Okay, so there are ports available, and a lot of work is going on in that direction as well. Okay. So Ink is the language which was developed by Parity Tech. Okay. Sir, can we write in Python also? Yes, Bhuvan, you can. But then again, you have to check with the environment. Say, for instance, let me just show you. So let's say Python smart contract for Ethereum. Okay. See, there is Ethereum for Python developers. Okay. So these are all the libraries: Web3 Py, Viper Py, AES and so on, each sector, each utility. Okay. So for instance, if you wanted to get started with smart contracts in the Solidity language, so this is for the Solidity language. To use Ethereum to create decentralized apps or Ethereum for Python developers. So this is Ethereum for Python developers, not Python. Okay, smart contracts in Python. So there is this thing there. I have not tried it. Trust me, I have not tried it. Okay, right? So you can do that. So you have to install the free PySolve. So this is the PySolve is the Solidity compiler for Python. Okay, and then you can write it. So you can just look through this, and there are a lot of results available. I think probably you'll find some. Okay. So here it is. Deploying the smart contract. So you could do that. Frankly speaking, I have not done it. Okay. So Python smart contract for I think probably smart contract development on Substrate. I'm not very sure. Substrate does develop a smart contract. So I think I don't know. Python Substrate interface. A Python CLI to interact. Oh, this is a Python CLI to interact with the smart contract. Whether you can write deploying a new smart contract towards I haven't tried it, but I guess these things will come. These things will come. This is a Python Substrate interface. So library special interfacing with the Substrate node, querying storage components. So basically, these are tools which allow you to talk to the smart contract, not write smart contract as such. Okay. But yes, there are a lot of projects. I mean, there are projects which are going on which are looking into this, so that Python developers can also, migrate to the Polkadot smart contract development. Like JavaScript for web development, why a single programming language was introduced? Abdul, it was not just for one language. Okay, see, smart contracts have their own requirement. Okay, so generally what happens is this Python or JavaScript, all these languages, they are generic programming languages to write any kind of application. But smart contracts have a limitation. Okay, they have their own set of requirements. Okay, like for instance, smart contracts are not supposed to produce any standard output, right? So such features will not be available. Similarly, the data types that are used in smart contracts or basically the on the blockchain is quite different from what you normally see in a programming language. Therefore, if you write a customized programming that supports all the features of the blockchain, it will be easier. You get my point? Okay, so it's not like you cannot do smart contract programming with other languages. But again, remember, you have to bring in some additional feature set into the language. Say, for instance, Ink. Ink is primarily Rust, but Rust is a generic programming language, right? So what they have done is that to be able to write Python smart contract, I'm very sorry. Smart contract using Rust, they have built a separate domain-specific language called Ink. Okay, which will allow you to use Rust as a programming language and be able to write smart contracts. Okay, so does writing the smart contract in Python provide same level of abstraction? Yeah, true. The only thing is the language will have to bring in some additional features in the form of external support. Like for instance, Rust brings it in the form of the Ink DSL. DSL means domain specific language. So Rust is the language, but there are some additional feature set that has to be added on top of the Rust as a generic programming language so that it's able to use the smart contract feature. Okay, similar to frameworks of JavaScript like React.js. No. See, that's a different thing. Yeah, you can think of it, but again, remember, Ink is a DSL, domain specific language. So basically, what a domain specific language means is that you have a generic programming language, and on top of it, you add some additional features which are used specifically for some specialized application, right? Okay, so you have to use those features. So you can. It's not exactly framework. I won't call it as a framework, but rather, domain specific language is the approach. I mean, that's the correct term to be using. Okay, right? Now, just like frameworks are like React.js, so again, remember, Abdul, one important thing, React.js is not a framework, it's a library. Okay, that's a common mistake. Angular is as a framework. Okay, Angular is a framework. React.js is just a library. Okay, right. Okay, so so first off, okay, Ink is actually very easy to use. No big deal. Okay, so let me just tell you. So there is this small article about what Ink is, what is Parity Ink. So I'll just put this up in the chat window and please use this. Okay, just read this article. And he has, the article is basically nothing but the same as the webinar this Michi Miller has given. Okay, on the YouTube, there's a webinar over there. Okay, you can see that. And let's see. So this is the Ink website. I mean, the official page for Ink. Okay. paritytech.github.io/ink. But actually, the name of the program, the DSL is Ink followed by an exclamation symbol. Okay. So again, remember, this is a eDSL. To write smart contracts in Rust. So basically, you are still writing in Rust only. But what happens is, when you're writing it as a smart contract, you have to use certain features, okay, which has been brought in by Ink, so that it will be treated as a smart contract and compiled so. Okay. Right. So how do you do that? So, okay. So prerequisite is that so you can go to the installation guide, which you've already seen, and also you will need a cargo contract. Okay, so you have to use cargo contract. Okay, create. So it's actually a CLI tool. Okay, so let me just font a little bit. CLI tool that allows you to basically create and then compile and then build and then test the contract. So once installed, you can use the command cargo contract. So basically, when you install cargo-contract, this is a crate. When you install that, you get this feature, wherein you can say cargo contract and then create a new contract by whatever name that you're doing. And then you can build it using cargo contract build, and you can test it by using cargo contract build. Okay. Right. Simplest. What does a contract do? So if you look at it, okay. If you look at it. So how do you write a contract? So first you create your contract. Okay. So when you say cargo contract new flipper, okay. So I'll just show you, okay. I'll just show you all these things so that I'll go to the environment and log in there. Okay. So let me do one thing. I'll open up a terminal. And what I will do is I'll just create contract demo, okay, and cd into it. So I have already done the install of cargo contract. Okay. What do I mean when I say that? I mean that I have already run this command cargo install cargo contract. --- force will basically update it to the latest version if it is already installed. Okay, that's what it does. Otherwise, it says hey, it's already installed and then it is simply quit. So we want to upgrade it also in case there's a new version there. Okay, so I'm going to create a new contract. Okay, so cargo contract new, and then I'll give the name flipper. Okay. So when I run this, it has created the contract with flipper. Okay. Now you can see. So let me just increase the font size as well for you guys. I hope this is comfortable to read. And trust me guys, I spent hours and hours to get this GUI running on top of WSL. And I'll give you the complete demonstration of that as well. So you'll feel comfortable using that. So here we have cargo contract new flipper. So now if I see the directory, there's a flipper directory. So I'll go into the flipper directory and you'll see there's a cargo terminal and libRF. And what I've done is I have also configured Visual Studio Code to work with this. Okay. So I don't need to install Visual Studio Code in here. Instead, actually, if you're using WSL, the code can be launched from your host machine, that is Windows, operating system. So if I do code dot, I've configured it like that. Okay, and in fact, it is not recommended to install, Visual Studio in WSL. Instead, use a mechanism called as the Visual Studio Server. Okay, so of course, if you want, you can use other editors as well. Okay, so since we are using Visual Studio, so I'll just say code cover, and you'll see that if you go to Windows, here, it's gone to Windows, and it asks me to reopen this in WSL. So and you will see on the left side bottom, it is starting the Visual Studio Server, and see it has connected to the WSL. Okay, so here it is. So if you look at cargo terminal, so this is the configuration. So name of the package is Clipper. There is a version. Authors, you can set this. Okay, your name and then your email ID. So let me just set this. Okay, so and my mail ID. like this, edition 2021. Dependency, what does it depend on? Inc version 4.0.0 beta. Default features is false. Scale and scale info, this is required for doing the codec stuff. Okay, don't worry about all of this. Let it be there. You don't need to really go too deep into the boilerplate code as of now, unless you want to do a deep dive later on. Okay, and library, so the name of the library and the path is lib.rs. So basically it has to be developed as a library. Okay, and in features we need Inc standard, scale standard, and scale input standard. Inc as dependency, so this is empty right now. So these are the features we are using. So this is the then if you look at librs, okay. Okay, just a warning. I've got two things which are incompatibly weaker. Anyway, so you see, how does this look like? So let me just increase the font size for you a bit, and I'll just okay. So you need this configuration for every contract. Okay, don't need to worry about portals. So you have to ensure that you are using the feature standard and most. So every Inc contract starts with this annotation, Inc : contract. Okay, right? This is mandatory. Right. Then you create a module with mod, and then use the name of your contract, that is Flipper. Okay. Now every contract will obviously store some values, right? So it is imperative that every contract have a storage section where you define the structure, essentially a data structure, where you will actually store your types or data. So here you define this using the Inc storage attribute. Okay, so this annotation is needed. Okay, so so Inc storage, and then after this Inc storage, you define your structure. So public structure. So the structure has to be public. Okay, because the external environment, that is the virtual machine, has to see this. Okay, Flippers, and what we're doing is we are storing a value of type bool. Okay, that's all. All we are doing in Flipper is, why it is called Flipper, because this smart contract basically flips the value true to false, false to true, and all. That's it. Now, in order to do all that, okay, so couple of things you need. Okay, so every contract needs storage section. Okay, where you define the structure. Okay, so this is mandatory. Then you implement the Flipper. So you are creating an implementation block wherein you will define the rest of the stuff that you need. Okay, so what do you need? One, obviously, constructor that initializes the value. Okay, so a constructor, again, constructor is mandatory. Without a constructor, you cannot instantiate a smart contract, right? So constructor is mandatory. Okay, so you can have more than one constructor also. So you see, there is this constructor. Okay, so it says public function and constructor, we call it as new, and it returns a self. We have already seen this syntax, and then again we are returning a self, and init value is the argument we are passing in. So whatever initial value we are giving, that will be set up here. Okay, so whatever value we pass, that value will be stored when the smart contract is instantiated. Now suppose you instantiate without giving a value. For that you will need a constructor. Again, that is what you call such a constructor, a default constructor in object-oriented language. So how do you implement that? You implement it using this special function called default. You should name it default only. Okay, and what it does, it just returns self new and then calls default. Okay, so there is a default trait available on which default function is there. It's basically what it does. It just gives default values to whatever data variables you are having in your smart contract. So what is the variable I'm having? This is a value. What type is it? Bool. So the default instantiation, what it will do, it will actually set, if it is a Boolean value, it will set it to false. That's what it does. So you need two constructors. One, it's not mandatory, just having default is enough. Okay. Otherwise, this is a parameterized constructor where you pass in what value you want to store it in the smart contract when it is actually instantiated and put up on the blockchain. Okay. So constructors can delegate to other constructors. Now you see, we are calling this constructor self constructor here, self new. So this default constructor is using this parameterized constructor by passing in the value default, which will basically pass in a false value for the Boolean variable. That's it. Okay. Now a constructor is mandatory. Without constructor, you cannot instantiate your smart contract. Okay. Next. Okay. This one. So I'll come to this a little later. So you need a method to access the value, whatever is there in the smart contract. So we are writing a get function. So all the functions, so you need to have at least one, okay, function in your smart contract, okay, so that this will compile without any issue. Okay, so it is mandatory that at least one function must be there. Okay, now these functions are the ones which you use to interact with the smart contract. Okay, so we say that we are passing message. So such, okay, so it's like sending a message or calling the smart contract. Okay, so we also call it as sending a message. So all the functions with which you want to interact, okay, these functions have to be annotated using ink message annotation. Okay, so this is ink message and this is also an ink message. Okay, so the second one is called get, and it takes a reference to the current contract, and what it returns is a Boolean value. What is it? It is simply the value stored in the contract. That's it. And then the other one is the function flip. What it does, it flips the value in the contract. Okay, so obviously you have to have a reference to the self, but it has to be a mutable reference because you are going to change the state of the contract, right? So that's why. So get doesn't need to have mutable reference because it is not mutating the state of the contract. The data is not changing. It is simply returning that value. That's it. Here in flip, the value will change. So obviously it has to be, okay, a mutable reference to self. And what we are doing, we are simply taking self.value and assigning not of self.value. So basically if it is true, it will become false. If it is false, it will become true. That's it. Okay. So I've got two messages. One is a flip to flip the value. One is get to get the value. That's it. And then you can write the unit test. See, the unit test, everything is under the module itself. But if you want, you can write test. If you don't want, you can leave it. But again, remember in production, it's very important that you should have test. Okay. So to have the test, what you do is inside this module, you create another module called test. Okay. It can be called anything that you want, but the truth is generally that's the convention that we follow. But this module must be annotated as CFG test. That is, we are having a test configuration. Okay. So unit tests in Rust are normally defined with CFG test. Module and test functions are marked with hash test. So here you see there's link test. Okay, link test. So all these are test functions, test methods. And then you have to import all the definitions on the outer scope because this is an inner scope because you created the test module inside of the flipper module, right? So therefore, we say use super and then colon star. That means use everything in the outer scope. That means the outer module. Otherwise, it will not have access to any of the functions. Okay. And then first we are writing whether the default works or not. Default works. What does it mean? Default works means that when you instantiate the contract, okay, without giving a value, then obviously the default value of the inside the contract should be false, right? So that's what we're doing. So we are saying let's flipper okay, use of a flipper is flipper default. We are calling the default function. So you'll get this. Okay. So what does flipper default return? It will return a reference to self. What is that? That's a smart contract reference. Okay. So flipper is actually the smart contract. On the smart contract, you have the get method. You have the get method. What it will return is the return. So what does it get do? It will return self dot value, whether either true or false. But because we used flipper with the flipper default, it should return a false. So we are asserting, okay, that we are doing an assert equal, saying that flipper dot get should return a false. Okay, and then we test simple use case of our contract. So it works. We are just saying, okay, so basically we are trying to see what is the value that we got, and then what is the new. So what we are doing here, again, this is again a test method. So this is the second test. So here we are creating a flipper instance by using flipper new, but this time we are passing in the, we are not using default. Instead, we are passing in the value false. So what will happen? It will call this method, the new method, on the smart contract, and it will set the false to the value. Okay, so value will become false. And then what we are doing? We are asserting that now at this stage, flipper get should give us false. Then we call flipper.flip. So the false should become true. So again, we are asserting that this time around, the flipper.get should give us true. Both the tests are done. So we have covered the entire code. So this is a good test case. Okay. So we are done with it. That's the smart contract. So if I'm writing a, let's say, bank account, so for a given user, so I might have like a string for the name, account number as say some U32, and balance as some say float 32. Okay, something like this, and then you can write all this. So you can test it out like that. Okay. Now, so now that we are done with this, okay, if you want, we can close it, but we can just keep it open and then come back to our. Okay. So this code is done. Okay, so I need to, I'll just close this. Okay. Maybe I should have run it in background for you. Anyway, so this is done. So now how to do that? So to build it, what you have to do is you have to say cargo contract build. Okay. Or you can just say cargo build. And I can see how much time it takes. Okay. Okay. Meanwhile, is there any questions, please? Any questions, please? Please feel free to ask the questions, because this is the real work that you will be doing, writing smart contracts in your, which will run your entire backend running on the blockchain. Okay. If you have any questions, please feel free. Because this is where things really get serious. Okay. Because in the build sessions, the knowledge from this is what is going to be used. Okay, so this will become like, you know, portfolio of everything that you have learned so far. Oh, thank God, it has done it in 1 minute 37 seconds. I didn't expect that. Actually, I closed all the unnecessary stuff and all the services on my machine so that, you know, the machine runs fast. Okay, so I think that has helped. So now if you see, you'll see a target directory. Okay, so if I see target, there is a debug and then release. So I have target release. So let me do this. Um, okay, so what I should do? Okay, so okay. I'll just do so cargo contract build. That is what I should see. So if it is the substrate node template, then you do a cargo build. Okay. For this, we have to specifically say, hey, you know what? This is a contract. Okay, smart contract. So to build it accordingly. So I'll just show you what it does really. So I hope this is finished first. Guys, can you just put up some questions in here? So I don't see any questions in there. There are no open questions. If you have any doubts, please. I'm going to download some more. Hopefully, it should do it fast. Can we say contracts automated decentralized system? Abdul, this is in a decentralized manner. So it's basically a code that runs on top of a blockchain. And essentially, what does blockchain really do? Why it is called a smart contract is because again it is same as a program only, but essentially since it runs on the blockchain and it is augmenting the blockchain, primary function of recording transactions. So these programs are called smart contracts because they are essentially a set of rules as to how the transactions need to be carried out. That's all. So when you say smart contract, it's just a program. The only difference is the program simply runs on top of a blockchain. Okay. So yes, you can have contracts running in an automated fashion completely. Okay. Any other question, please? Guys, this is a session where you really need to ask more questions. Because this is exactly as I'm reiterating again, this is the work that this is going to be the major amount of work that you will be doing. Anyway, so now if you see here, okay, so when you do a build, okay, of the contract, what you get is in the target inc, you will get clipper.contract, clipper wasm, and metadata JSON. These are the three files that are generated. and the contract was built in debug mode. Actually, I should have given -- release so that it would have been developed in the release mode. So that what happens is the code is compacted because no debug symbols are loaded. This is fine. Now, how do I test this? So one is you can directly test it without hosting on the blockchain. Okay, you can do an off-chain testing. So I can say cargo contract test. Ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to put up any number of questions, and I'm expecting people to be more interactive and ask more questions here. So one more question there. So a little confused. I am installing the ink contract after executing may get out. Okay, fine. But then again, no issues at all. Use the Discord. I'm just saying that. Okay, Bharat, what is your confusion? So let's address that. Okay, so now you can see the tests have run. It has run 2 tests. That's what 2 tests were written in there. Okay, one is the default works. So this is okay, and it works. This is also okay. So it says test result. Okay, 2 pass is 0. So 2 pass, 0 failed, 0 ignored, 0 measured, 0 filtered. So everything is fine. So as far as the test part is concerned, absolutely good to go. Okay, right. So Bharat, what is your confusion? Can you just let me know, please? Now remember, if you want to run, okay, one of the very important prerequisites. Now that we have our smart contract developed in ink, I need to run it on the blockchain, right? So the substrate node template only gives you basic blockchain without the contract support. Without the contract support. So you need the contract palette to be added. Okay. But then again, it is actually, there are a lot of moving pieces to it. It takes quite some time to actually, configure that and make it up and running. So what Parity has done is they have given you a substrate node template, which already has the contract, okay, palette pre-configured for you, so that you don't have to do all of that. Okay. If you want to learn to do that, you can do that. There is sufficient information on the developer pages as well. Okay. Why ink when we can do in other languages? But right now you have to understand that, at present, our aim is to do everything with Rust and ink only. That's why you're being taught ink. Okay. That's all there is. And believe me, if you know Rust, ink is just cakewalk. All you need to do is just add some additional annotations. That's all. Abdul, sorry for late answer, but I found that in Rust, same name can be assigned to different data types. That is A equal to 10, A equal to hello. Yeah. My question is whether is this helpful in blockchain? Okay. Abdul, in the same, okay. In the same, scope, you cannot do that. Because once the type inference is done, okay, further assignment, okay, you cannot, with a different type, you cannot do what to say, in Rust. So I think probably you are getting it wrong. Okay. And in case if you want to test it out, let me just start a new demo. Can I have notes up to now? Well, we don't have the concept of notes. You can watch the videos again. The entire playlist is available on YouTube. Okay. However, and where we have actually given you all the links also. So the links are also there. They are available on Discord also. You don't need notes. Okay. To do all of that. Okay. You have to create your own. However, we'll be giving you some amount of additional information for the dev environment setup though. Okay. Which is again voluntary from our side to help you out, ease out your issues that you might have. Okay. So okay, so let me just show you here. So Mohammed, just see here. If I say let x is assigned 10, okay. First of it is immutable. So later I cannot do x is assigned 20 anyway. Okay, so this is anyway will not work. Okay, so even if I make it mutable, okay, right, and okay, so that takes care of the warning. Value assigned to x is never used, so that's just fine. Okay, because this is mutable x. And now, suppose instead of doing like this, if I put it up as I'll start getting errors because first assigned when it is defined at that time itself, it has become I32. That is signed integer 32 with signed integer, and now mismatch type. So anyway, so as far as your question is concerned, it will not work. This works in probably in JavaScript, Python, all those languages, not in Rust. Again, remember, Rust is statically typed. It's statically typed. Okay, so this thing will not work. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. Okay, so let's come back up here. Okay. So now what we need to do is now you need a blockchain to run. Now you can actually run the blockchain locally, or you can use the test network. But then again, you need tokens from them, test tokens from them. So what you can do is you can go to this link contracts-ui.substate.io. Okay, so I'll just put this up in the chat window. Deploy and test our I'll just copy this. Oh, it doesn't work. Contract UI dot substrate.io. Okay. So you can go to this link and you can test it out on a blockchain which is running locally also. Okay, you can connect. So you see there is this local node, or you can go to the Rococo network. Okay. There's a testnet on Polkadot. Okay. So no final extension. So okay. So you need to have signed in Sudan, Sweden, ls0 testnet, and then you can also use the local node. So right now, and locally, I'm not running it. Okay. So what I need to do? So first off, let me just show you what we need. Okay. So you can go to there is a subset documentation for the same thing. Okay. Contract, how you can write and configure and all this. You can go through this. Okay. If you go to the tutorial, prepare your first contract, develop smart contract, use NAS for storing values, build a token contract, all these. Just go through this. They are given sufficient information for you to work with. Okay. Hey guys, you have to do this homework. Okay. You have to do this homework in order to be able to. So you have for running this. Yeah, there is substrate contracts node. Okay, from Parasitic. So basically, this is already available to you. Okay, you can just so this is what is this? So this is nothing but the node template. The node template is a bare bones blockchain node, right? So what they have done is they have added the or they have configured the contract palette also, because without that you cannot run some smart contracts. Okay. So minimal substrate here, minimal substrate node configured for smart contracts via palette contract. So how do you do that? So all you need to do is simply run this cargo install contracts node and then do this and it will do it. Or you can also, download this, what to say, download the binary from the releases and directly run that. So what I have done is, because I was testing it, so I actually downloaded it and I built it. So let me just, this is substrate contract node. Okay, this is already built. So this I built it yesterday for testing out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this. So first I need to run my blockchain. Okay. So I just built it there. It took almost, I think, probably 2 hours. Okay. Substrate contract node and log info and then runtime contract will be there. So some additional debug information will also come out. If I run this, you see there. Let's set it up. Okay. So now this is working just fine. So now what I can do, I can come to the substrate UI and here I will change out. Now this is running, so I can connect to the local node. So if I click on local node, okay. So let me expand this window. Okay. Chain name, subset context node, chain type is development, token unit, highest log and so on. Okay, so now what I do is, if I go to all contracts, okay, your contract, there are no contracts right now. Okay, so we can add a new contract. So what you actually do is, you actually, I showed you, right, the terminal. You have to load this, and we did the build, we got this. So this is clipper.contract, which has got the contract code and the metadata, okay, put together. And clipper.wasm, this is the wasm file, okay, which contains the wasm bytecode, which is the actual contract code, and there is metadata JSON, which contains all the, you know, what to say, metadata regarding the contract. Okay, and if we want to check it out, we can check it out also. So for now, so we need both the contract and its metadata to be deployed. So clipper.contract file is what we need to, and where is it? It is inside our IBC contract demo Clipper target inc. So this is the folder we have to. So add new contract, okay, and then you can upload the new contract code, and with which account? So Alice or Alice at Bob, all these accounts are there, default account. So I'll just use Alice. Contract name, okay. So my Clipper contract, okay, and upload the contract bundle. So contract bundle is the .contract file, because the bundle contains both. It has to have both the code as well as the metadata. So I'll just load. So you can see in the contract. So I'll go to the home, okay, and then IBC contract demo, Clipper, target, inc, and Clipper.contract. This is the one. And I'll select this. Okay. So it has checked valid contract bundle. I'm sorry, actually this, you know, probably the color scheme is not really that good. Okay. Okay. Can't help it out. So next, click next. Okay. You see. So if you want the new init value before you can construct, so this is a deployment constructor. So there are two. One is with the initial value. Okay. So we can set this initial value. So let's say I want to set it with default or with the new initial value. Okay. Because it is Boolean, it has automatically selected false, but you can change it. So I will change it to true. So I will start the contract with true value. This is a deployment solved. Don't worry about it. These are all hashes. Okay. And then click next. So if you want to use the default constructor, you can always point it out to default, and that will do it for you. However you want. Okay. I want to use the new init value. It has already given a base, you know, a value, but you can always. Okay. So, and then next. Okay. It says name is Clipper, the weight is this much, code hash and data is this much, and then you say upload. So instantiate with code. So it is queued. So now if I upload and instantiate, now this is okay. Right. So our inc smart contract has been deployed. Now I can actually interact. So, so you want to look at the metadata, click on this and you see this. So you see there, all the information in the code. So new, so you can just drop it down. New constructor that initializes the bool value to whatever initial value, default bool value to false. Constructors can delegate to other constructors. So whatever comments we gave that have come here, okay. And if you want to update it, you can update the metadata in case if you have made any changes at the contract level in the source code. So this is the metadata, and this is the interaction. Okay, so is the size okay to read?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now message to send. You see, these are the functions which you can invoke. So if I drop it down, so one is flip, the other is get. So if I do a get, what should I get? I should get true because I started this smart contract with the value true. So when I click on this, you see the return value true has come. If there are any transaction logs, they will all come here. Okay. And then I can do a flip. So I click on this. But because it is going to change the state, I have to come here and I have to click call contract. Okay. Because it is giving you how much gas is required. Okay. How much is consumed and so on. So there's a reference unit, pool size unit, and so on and so forth. Okay. So call contract. If I do a call contract, what should happen? The value should become false. Okay. So click call contract. It is success. So the contract has been called. Okay. And now you can check. So again, using the get, I can check the value. So click on this. Okay, now it has been checked. So that means it's working. And there you have it. Okay. Now, if you were using, let's say, a string value, then what will happen is when you get the string value, it will come in base 64 hexadecimal. Then you will have to use, a string converter from hex to string in order to get the value. But it's all the same. It's just that those are the byte values. Okay, so you should not be concerned with that. Okay. And you can see the state of a blockchain. Okay. The moment you click here, okay, and of course, when you can click on your contract clipper, you can see all this. So you can add another contract if you want. So if you go to all contracts, software contract. Now here you will get all the list along with the contract address. Because after all, the contract is going to be hosted on the blockchain, so it will have an address of its own. Okay, and date and time there. Okay. And when you click on it, it will take you to the contract interaction page. Okay. And there is the color details if you want. So you can change it to other colors also because this is a generic contract which doesn't check with the origin of the call. So anyone can call this. So you can put up the restriction as well that whoever instantiates the contract, only they can call. So in which case you will have to add an account ID and store it, whoever is actually instantiating it. So all those things you can do. Okay. Any questions, please? Okay, so I say there are no questions in there. Right, so yes. And you can go to all contracts here. Okay. And you'll see all the contracts in there. Okay, okay. Yeah, and you can also delete the contract. It's called as forgetting the contract. So I can just confirm the action. Again, remember, whatever you do with contracts on the blockchain, it cannot be changed. Okay, the code cannot be changed. So generally, there is no concept of editing the contract. Essentially, it's a new version of the contract deployed all over again. So I'll just put that and it's okay. And then there are no contracts in here. You can upload again and then get the contract. Okay, and if I stop my local blockchain in here, okay, you'll see this cannot connect. Okay, so I see one question in there. Will gas consumption is same for all transactions or it will differ? Okay, Mohammed, see, it's very important. Abdul, so every the gas fee is decided upon based on what is the computational effort that is required to carry out a certain activity. So simpler activities will consume less gas, and complex computational activities will consume more gas. It's as simple as that. Okay, so essentially think of it like this. Okay, you are paying the gas is the fee that you're paying for someone to do something for you, right? If it's a simple thing, okay, you'll pay him less money. If it's just a 5-minute job, you'll pay less money. But if the person is taking up, say, 1 hour or 2 hours, you'll pay more money. It's the same concept there. Okay, so gas consumption is never same for all transactions. Okay, it will depend upon transaction to transaction as to how much computational effort it has taken for that transaction to to finish. Okay, good question, Abdul. Good question, guys. You should be asking questions like this. Okay, I'm very happy that there are people asking questions like this. Okay, any other question, please? Okay, so for working with the smart contracts, okay, you can come to the subset itself, and then you have your prepare your first smart contract, and this is the basic setup you need to do. Okay, I have already done that, and then you have to install the subset contract node. Okay, using this command. You will need to use contract node. That will be easier way of doing it rather than trying to configure the contract palette all by yourself, because not that you cannot do it, it is a lot there's a lot of work going on, and things can go wrong. So I advise you that you do that, but configuration, there is an entire tutorial given for that as well. You can do that. It's not it's no rocket science. It's just that, okay, since you are new to it, and right now your entire concentration should be to write the smart contract for your particular application or for your project. So so be mindful of that, and not to waste time in doing all these mundane things that have already been done for you. However, to learn how to add palette, contracts palette, and then configure it, definitely it's a very good exercise. You should be doing it. Do that in your free time. Okay, and do it in a separate instance so that you don't mess up the existing contract. Sorry, the subset node template. Okay, so that is not advisable. So there's a lot of, because the build process takes at least a minimum of 1.5 hours. Okay, so all that time is lost. Okay, then here it is. So this is what it is. Okay, this is the output. This is the one which contains all your code as well as the metadata. The metadata contains is stored in the JSON file. Okay, and then you start this subset contracts node, which is what I have done. Okay, I have not used this part of the command because I just want to see all the output in there, including error messages. Okay? and then deploy the contract, and you should be good to go. And there are CLI tools available which will use directly from the command line interface also. You can do that. Okay, you can actually do that. Okay, but I wanted to keep it simple for you guys, so that's why I used the contract UI. Okay, and this is done. And then next, how to create a new smart contract project using smart contract language. So you can go to this one. Okay. So there is a new contract called incrementer. It basically increments it. Flipper only flips it. Incrementer will increase it. So basically what we are doing is that we are having a bool and then we are having a number. So this is our contract structure there. Okay, which is used in the, so this is the storage element. Okay, and what we want to do is for this way, increment smart, creating a new project will add this. So you will modify the smart template files and then so what is okay. So this is the storage part, and what are the supported types? So you have a account is account ID. So there are built-in account ID and balance. Okay, already there. So you can use in the storage. You can say my account is account ID and balance is balance like this. Okay. Then the constructor, which basically initializes in number. Okay, so you are the structure now. This so incrementer is having only one number, which is U32, and you have a new value so that you can give, and the default will go to default. Now update the smart contract. So what we do is we write the implementation block for incrementer. So we need the constructor and we need a message. Okay, so again default constructor. Then we have this get method. Okay, the same thing, and there is for testing, and then also you can add the increment method. I think they have an INC for incremental. Okay, by is how by what amount you want to increment it, and then self dot value you just add it itself. And that should be it. So if you're able to build this, okay, from this link, okay, developer smart contracts, you can try this out. Just putting it in the chat window there for you guys. So this is Abdul's question is answered. So any other question, please? Okay. Okay, so I guess that's it from my side. So I think that's about it. But if you have any doubts, you can just put that up. So I'll give you another minute to think about this. Again, remember, smart contracts are very easy to write. Generally, these smart contracts tend to be very small pieces of code only, not big, huge programs, because they are essentially business rules coded in a certain language so that it can run on the blockchain. That's all. Okay, no rocket science behind it. Pretty simple. Okay, but then it's your dApp that actually uses this in a very visually catching manner and make it useful for the end user. Okay, because obviously end user is not going to use the substrate contract UI. Okay, so you have to build this way. This is where your dApp comes in. Okay, so you'll have a good UI through which any layman can actually talk to the smart contract. They will not know actually there is a smart contract running behind it. Okay. Okay, guys, that's from my side. So I think I'll stop it here. So Deepak Chaudhary, so we can Deepak Singh. So I think probably we can start with the
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
request.
First of all, yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, you are. And
Okay, yeah.
tomorrow, okay, just one thing to add. So guys, there are a lot
Yes.
of tutorials available as to how to install WSL2 on your Windows machine. So just go through that, install WSL2, and on that, install Ubuntu 22.04. Tomorrow, I will show you the entire dev environment setup using WSL. Okay. Right. So over to you, Deepak Singh.
Okay, perfect. So guys, we have a quiz today. If I'm not wrong, Deepak, can you confirm once?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Perfect, awesome. So that's that's few more brownie points in the pocket of Mr. Deepak Chaudhary. So yeah, before we do that, I think we'll speak a little bit about our one of the challenges from one of our sponsors, which is Unique Track, Unique Network. I'm sure some of you already know about it. But there's before we speak about what the challenge is, I would request Deepak to demonstrate a quick demonstration of the same. But before we do that, so it's the entire thing is a three-step process. I'll explain you what and how you have to do this. Let me just share my screen. Okay. 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 So I hope my screen is visible. So this is one of the links. Deepak, is my screen visible? The hackathon page?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So I'll just put this link in the chat box here. So guys, when we do this unique networks challenge, what we need to
voice broke. Your voice.
okay, so is it audible now?
Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
Okay. Yes, so the challenge, how to participate in the challenge, it's basically a three-step process. First thing is that you will go to this link the link to of which I'll just share in this chat. Register yourself for IBC hackathon, right? So this is basically hack 3, the link I've shared. If you see on this on the screen, if you have logged in, that's great. You can go and apply. And if you haven't, then you just need to go and sign up in the process. So when you do that, you apply here, and then in the options that you see, you will have to choose unique network as your track. Let me show how that would look like. 1 second. Yes. So if you can see now, during your application process, you will fill all these informations, personal information, professional details, skills page, team foundation, and everything. When you come to this program selection part, which is this program selection part, you will be given multiple options in this track, right? In those, you will choose track 5, unique network mob code, right? Why you will choose this? Because Deepak will show. A lot of you might have already participated in the workshop that we did on Saturday. To those who didn't participate, here's what you'll do. You will choose the track 5 from here, and then you will see multiple themes when you click over here below. The theme that you will choose is minting with unique network wallet, right? This is the option that you will choose. If you want to take a screenshot, if you want to take a snap, please take it right away. I'll pause the screen for next 10 seconds. So the track is track 5, which is unique network mob code. And the theme is minting with unique network wallet. It's a very simple process. It's a very basic challenge. If you complete this challenge, you stand a chance to win $50 worth unique tokens. If you have not created a wallet yet, I request you all to create a wallet. The demonstration of the same has been done multiple times during the workshop and even in the previous session. It's a very simple process. Create a wallet so that you are able to do the minting, and also you are able to receive the tokens. So you'll choose track 5 and then you'll choose the theme, which is minting with unique network wallet, right? Now let me just stop sharing my screen. So this will be process 1. Process 2 will be explained by Deepak. Deepak, you want to go ahead and demonstrate how to complete the challenge?
My screen is visible, right?
Yes, Deepak.
Yeah. So guys, we have 3 challenges from the unique network. In challenge one, we need to mint with unique network wallet. The link of this is there. I'll paste in the chat. So what we need to do in this, we need to create a collection. Collection, you can think like a channel of YouTube, okay, and mint a few token for that collection using the unique network wallet. In that collection, what we have made is, in that collection, we need to mint some tokens or NFTs. Okay, in challenge 2, there are some prerequisites. So I'll talk this later. First, let's see how to perform this. Okay, before that, unique has 4 chains. Okay, first one is unique. This is a Polkadot parachain. Second is a Quartz. It is a Kusama parachain. Third is a Opal. It is the testnet. Will work will work on the 3 challenges on this Opal testnet. Okay. Now the last one is a Sapphire. It is also the main net for production environment with the quickest time to market. So it proves the early access to the new features on the production environment. Okay, let's perform this. Guys, I am telling you the steps, so be careful. First step is to install the extension, Polkadot extension. There you need to create your account. For creating your account, just go to the plus, create account, and next, and then you need to fill your name and password. That's it. Okay. After this, just go to this link. Go to the link, and there you need to select your account from going to this. We will see all the accounts here. You can connect it and make sure you check the Opal by unique. Okay. Okay. Now till now you have account, but you don't have any tokens to perform the transactions. For getting the tokens, what you need to do is paste another link. just join this group of Telegram, and there you need to paste your public key. No need to do anything, just paste your public key. You will get your faucet in your wallet. Okay, after getting the wallet, go to the
So,
my
Deepak,
collection.
how much are they given through the faucet?
Around 3000.
Okay.
Okay, after this you need to go to the collection, then you will see the create collection. After creating collection, just go to that collection which you have created, and there you see the create an NFT. Just click in it, and then you can upload the image and mint that. Okay, this is the overall process what you need to do. After completing this, this is your public key. You need to paste this link into the form. The form will be given by the Deepak Singh. Okay, in challenge 2, what we have done in challenge 1 right now, we are creating a collection, we are creating an NFT by the UI. So in challenge 2, we need to do this by the SDKs. Okay, all these process will be followed by the SDK, and for that you need to know the front end part. In front end, you need to know the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and any framework. There might be a possibility when we will do this challenge, we use the Vue framework. Okay, and also some basic knowledge of blockchain. Just you need to know the IPFS. These things will be required to perform the challenge 2. Yeah, this is it.
Perfect. So guys, if you have any questions, drop it in Q&A. I think it's a very extremely simple process. But still, if you have got any doubt, please put it forward so we'll address it right away. So right now we have discussed basically 2 stages. One is that you will go on the IBC platform and then you will register for unique network. That is how you make yourself eligible to participate in this task that was given by Deepak, right? Once you register, second thing that you'll do is basically go and complete this task like Deepak has already shown. Now, what is the third step? Third step is, let me share with you a Google form. Yeah, so we need your wallet addresses, right? To make sure that you get the tokens. So we will take all those information from you. Make sure that you share the public key of the wallet address, not the private key. So submit. I'll share the link here. The form once unique challenges. Yeah. So I have shared the form. Let me just show. It looks like basically. Right. So this is basically the form. I'm sure most of you already know. Deepak, can you also share the Notion page link of the unique protocol, unique network?
Yeah.
Of the task. So guys, this is a IBC exclusive challenge for unique. So what you will do, what you're doing here is limited to IBC only. So your registration is important, your challenge completion is important, and third, this entering all this information is important. Now, the most important thing is that this challenge, unique has allowed 20 teams to come forward and complete, who will, I mean, it is for 20 teams, they have limited it to 20 teams. So 20 teams can come forward and complete the challenge and get the tokens. Now, as you can see here, there are already 13 responses. Most of them are from the workshop that we did on Saturday. But some of them are part of team members and some of them are individuals. Now, so pretty much, let's say that we still have 7 more vacancies over here, right? So what you need to do is the sooner you complete the task, the sooner you'll be eligible to complete this challenge. So try to get it done as soon as possible. Then what you'll do is basically complete this form. What is this form? It's an extremely simple thing. You put your information, basic details. Now, have you completed the unique mock code challenge? Obviously, this information, once you give it to us, you have to understand that you have to be completely accurate. If you are misleading anything, or if you're lying or something, obviously we'll come to know. So don't try to do that. So over here, you'll paste your public key, and for us to know that after you have completed the task, and then you'll put your comments. Like, you can say something about the challenge if you liked it, or if you found it challenging, or if you have any other feedbacks for us, for IBC Media, or for Unique. Yeah, so that's pretty much this. So this entire thing is pretty much a 3-step process. Now, one important note that you guys need to understand is that this entire exercise, even if you are, say, 30th or 40th member to complete the response, you still need to do it. Why? Because the second challenge that we have from Unique, let me just show you what I'm speaking about here. Sir, can you please drop the links on Discord too? Guys, this is limited to people who are joining the session. We are not giving it to everybody. So there's an exclusivity to people who join these sessions. So no, it won't be shared on Discord. And please don't come hunting for links on Discord, because everything that we are doing, everything we're sharing, it's already in the part of the session. So if you miss any link, just drop us a message here. Don't hunt people on Discord for the links that were shared during the session. It does not make any sense. It's for CEP exclusive students. It's not for everyone, right? So try to maintain that exclusivity. Okay, let me come back to the Notion link. So Deepak has already shared the Notion link in the chat box. I think you all should open it. Let me just show that to you. Yeah, so if you see here, they are giving 50 USD worth tokens. Now they have limited it to 20 successful submissions, which will obviously be reviewed by judges. So even if you are the 30th person or the 40th person, you don't know who will get qualified depending on their submissions, right? So I request everyone to complete this challenge, not just because of the token prizes here, because of the learning process that you will get. Now, this challenge will basically prepare you for the second challenge. Obviously, there are certain prerequisites that Deepak has already discussed, some knowledge that you need to have. But once you complete this, you're basically qualifying yourself for the challenge 2. I mean, it's not necessary that you complete the challenge 1 and then only you'll be able to complete the challenge 2. But I suggest that everybody complete the challenge 1, because you might still stand a chance to win these $50 dollar worth tokens. And secondly, you get the savviness to compete in the challenge 2, right? And then from challenge 2, we will move on to challenge 3. So it's basically a gradual progression. So this is an intermediate, this is a beginner challenge, the challenge 1. Challenge 2 is an intermediate level challenge, and challenge 3 is basically advanced. So the prize pools are also divided in that manner, right? First challenge is 50 USD to each team. Second challenge has 300 USD worth tokens to each teams, and the uh, advanced challenge has basically 2,000 worth USDs. So if you see here, it's quite transparent, right? The amount of work that you put in, the amount of hard work and learning that you put into this entire exercise will decide whether you are able to qualify for these prize pools. So utilize everything that you have learned from Salva sir, from Deepak Chaudhary, from Praveen sir, and put it all in these challenges, right? It's your testing ground. This is where you will come to know the worth of your knowledge. So make sure you utilize this opportunity. All the other details are given here. Innovation MEP. So all these judging parameters, they will basically be used in mostly in challenge 3 and to some extent in challenge 2. But what you need to uh, understand is that you should start with challenge 1. So it'll lay down your own basic foundation, right, about unique challenge, and you'll come to know a lot of them, lot about them. And then obviously we'll progress towards challenge 2 and challenge 3. So this entire process is just to make sure that your own journey is built in a way where you get to learn step by step, and at the same time get an opportunity to participate in the hackathon at whichever level you are. Even though you are at a beginner level, you still have the opportunity to go to the advanced level, right? So that's what this is all about. So make sure you do that. I guarantee you nobody is offering this kind of a, cohesive environment where we are teaching you, we are guiding you and competing with challenges, and at the same time we are asking you and helping you and developing your own skills, developing your skills with you to compete in the larger challenges, where which is actually which is basically which actual blockchain developers like Deepak Chaudhary or Salva would do, if they were to participate in, if they had they had time to participate in hackathons, if I'm not wrong. So utilize this opportunity, utilize the knowledge resources that you have in front of you. Ask questions on Discord, ask relevant questions on Discord. Look, I see most of you always are hunting for links. I don't know why. If you're part of the session, you don't need to worry about links so much. So use your time properly, utilize the conversations that you're about to have on Discord nicely. I mean, what would you rather ask on Discord? Would it be about links, or would it be about something that you're trying to do, something that you're trying to build, right? So try to bifurcate your own questions according to that. It's a simple basic Google thing, then you can avoid that. But if there's something more you want to learn, or something you missed during the session, or anything for that matter, so try to ask those questions with us on Discord. And obviously we, as you already know, to all the people who have asked questions, we address it for you, right? Okay, so this is about Unique. I have already spoken to all of you about the informations. The links are already with you, so try to fill those forms. And what will happen is that when we do the bigger challenges, it will be very helpful. So try to complete the team forms, and yeah, it'll help you go the long way. So now we are now heading to the best part of the day, where we will be speaking about assignments and the quiz. So Deepak, please do the honors. Let's share the quiz link. Yep, the quiz link has been shared. Guys, you have 30 minutes to complete the quiz. I request everyone to participate in the quizzes. This is basically, we are now closing on the module 2 of the session. This, all of these things, the quizzes, the assignments, your participation, how much you ask, how active you have been on Discord, all of these will be evaluated while handing you the education certificate for completing module 2, right? So participate at least. We can, if you are not touching the 50% mark, which we discussed earlier, you don't need to worry. We will still see the entire effort that you have put in the entire CEP module 2, right? If you have been active, if you have been participating in the quizzes, if you have been listening to the sessions, we will appreciate that. We will take it into consideration, even if you have not touched 50% mark in your quizzes, right? So attempt the quizzes, complete the assignment, because that will be your actual test, right? That's how you'll test yourselves. So you have 30 minutes for the quiz. Assignment will be open till 6 p.m. tomorrow. At 7 p.m. tomorrow, we have the next session of this CEP module 2, which I think if not required, then that we will close on the module 2 tomorrow. If required, we'll add more sessions to it, but depending on what our experts think by tomorrow. Yes. So Deepak, any comments, Salva sir, any comments on what we will be covering tomorrow?
Tomorrow I'll be showing them a complete demo of the entire dev environment setup, because most of the people have Windows machines, okay, and so
Okay.
with WSL2 Linux on that, so they don't have to have any virtual machine separately installed, so it will make their workflow very easy, and so they can get onto the build sessions very soon. So that's what I want to show.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, also one topic was left in the rush, that is thread.
Yeah, threading. So that also will discuss.
Yeah, so perfect. So guys, you know now for the topics that we'll be covering tomorrow. Someone asked that they missed the assignment link because they got disconnected. So guys, I've shared the assignment link again. Let me share the quiz link again as well, just to make sure everybody gets it. Yeah, save these links. Try to complete the assignment by 6 p.m. tomorrow. That's 1 hour before the session. And the quiz link has also been shared twice. So complete the quizzes in the next half an hour, after which we'll close it. Attempt, that is the most important thing. If you have questions after you complete the quizzes, after you have submitted your response, come back to us. Like you can come back to us like after 1 hour. That's when we will address it as soon as we Deepak Chaudhary and Silva sir and all of our experts, whoever sees it first, they will reply to that. So you can come back to us with the questions as to why certain question had a certain answer, or vice versa, right? So all these questions are you are free to ask to us. So make sure you do that. Any final comments, Deepak, Selva sir?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so guys, just for your information, we'll be ending the call in next few minutes. You are free to leave even now if you want, and but make sure that you complete the quizzes. The quiz will be open for the next 30 minutes. So yeah, feel free to log out and work on the quizzes and your assignments. Thank you guys once again for joining. There's a lot more to come very soon. I mean, if we are ending module 2, once we end the module 2, we are going towards the building sessions, the most exciting session of this entire CEP exercise, right? That's where we'll start building things. So buckle up. It's going to be an amazing ride. All right, that's all from the IBC CEP side. Everyone, have a good night. Have a great day ahead tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing each and every one of you with lots of new content, lots of new information, and a lot of new knowledge. Thank you once again for joining. Good night. Thank you, Salva sir. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Deepak.